Good afternoon. Today is the 3rd of September and here we are back at Barron's Classic Car Auctions at Marchwood near Southampton. I do apologise in advance for the noise in the background. That is the boat building industry, which is using fiberglass and materials to build some things to go on the water, which is just over there. But we're here to look at the classic cars, we're here to talk about boats. And this is the Barron's Classic Car Auction September auction preview. Now, you'll see some lot numbers on cars. That's from the previous auction. The new lot numbers haven't been allocated yet. I've got here a bit early this month. The sale's not till I think the 14th. So I just looked at the sort of schedule of videos I've got coming up, and I have to actually record this now. So not everything has been entered the sale properly yet. There's one particular car that you might think is very familiar, which we'll see later. But we'll start off with this Alfa Romeo Spider. This is a 916 Spider. It is a 97. It's quite an early one, this. Unfortunately, this car is not in perhaps the best condition. There is no reserve on this. It looks okay, actually. I have driven one of these. It was a 2003, the one I drove. This is a pre-facelift one. Paint looks a little bit flat, or I could be wrong about that. Actually, it just maybe could do with a clean. But the biggest problem with this car is the brakes don't work. The clutch has some problem with it, probably with Slable master cylinder, and yeah, there are some rust bubbles and the paint could do with a buff, but no reserve. This could be a no budget reviews car. I don't even know if this has got an MOT, to be honest. Maybe it doesn't, but yeah, these aren't actually that expensive at the moment, somehow. It doesn't look too bad for, well, no reserve. But yeah, we'll go on next to this very unusual car over here, an ASR Gemini. I have never heard in my entire life of an ASR Gemini. I don't even know what these are even based on. It's not got a Q plate on it, which is unusual for a kit type car. I think some bits are sort of Ford based. So it's a 2-litre Zetec R crate engine. We've got a Type 9 Sierra 5-speed gear. What's it say? 12 plate on there. It's got Cortina Mark 1 front uprights, Escort Mark 2 rear axle. So everything new, not built from a donor car. What's this worth? According to the estimate on here, £6,000 to £8,000. I haven't a clue. We've got, I think it's like Cortina or Escort indicator and wiper stalks on there. Could be. Yeah, I mean, I imagine this thing's pretty fast. It looks, to me, a little bit like a sort of 60s car, but obviously it's not. I don't know, maybe that's the sort of thing that you like, I don't know. Right, let's go look at something a bit more expensive, shall we? Ooh, viewers, a 2003 Aston Martin V12 Vanquish. It says 007 spec, specifically Die Another Day spec. Estimate on this is £26,000 to £30,000. 3 former keepers, covered 95,000 miles. Yeah, what else can you say? Obviously, the reserve has been reduced and guide price has been reduced since then. Frameless doors, there we go. Hand built in England for David Patterson to 007 specification. There we go, viewers. Spot some Ford bits and Jaguar bits in here, of course, because that's who owned Aston Martin at the time. Got the flappy paddle gearbox that Jeremy Clarkson didn't like back in the day. Mind you, I don't really care. I would love to drive one of these. It would be fantastic. I just don't know if that will ever happen. Yeah. Not that fond of the Pierce Brosnan era, though, apart from GoldenEye. I'm more sort of, I don't know, George Lacey being Roger Moore, but that's controversial. If you're not very fond of that Aston Martin, how about this one? Much later, 2012, same as the kit car over there. DBS Volante V12 Automatic. Yeah, I mean, I prefer the colour scheme of the other one, but this is perhaps a little bit more modern for some of you. Look at that, we've got the drive mode selectors on the dash. The little Engine start in the middle. I wonder if it's still got a Volvo sat-nav in there, I don't know. Yeah, 40 to 45,000 pounds. It's not actually perfect. Why do they have sort of problems with this little bit of plastic? That's probably not a major thing though. Overall, it looks good. Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is really me. I need something kind of in a darker colour with a beige leather interior of this Aston Martin, but some of you might like that. So, our old friend, the 79 minivan, originally a Clubman, as you can see by the doors, but with a round front end now on it, which is what you could get right until the end of production of these vans as well, until 1982. Estimate 7,500 to £8,500 this time. You do get 2 free re-entries if your car doesn't sell at the auction. So that's maybe the new lot number, but I don't think they've been finalised yet, so don't take my word for that. Have a look inside. I'm not sure we have done so far. Yeah, it's very typical of one of these minivans of this kind of era. We've got the proto Austin Rover logo on there, Austin Morris logo I think it was at the time. I think that's a reasonable amount. It's not perfect or anything, but yeah, the vans are rare now. And another old friend here, this 1954 Bedford A-Type. Imported from Australia in 2021, all registered and everything like that. Like a sort of rat look. I think they're just not wanting to particularly do too much with this because it's in such original condition anyway. Not, again, my sort of thing, £6,000-7,000, so actually a little bit cheaper in estimate compared with the minivan, which is interesting. Personally, I want to sort some of this this bed out with the holes in it, but I don't know. There's probably a market for this kind of thing. I'm not quite sure who that is, but some people do like this sort of thing, don't they? Right, on to the next one. So this is a very, very late BMW E36. It's a 99. It's a very last year they made the E36 shape. By this stage, the E46 was in production for the saloons and things. This obviously is a convertible. It's a 328i. It's not an M3. It's a 328i SE individual. I presume you could specify things like those mirrors. And a very nice beige leather interior as well. I like the colour. It's like a sort of purpley colour. I can't remember in BMW speak what that's actually called. Sort of velvet blue, it says here. Velvet blue with champagne sport interior. Estimate £4,500 to £5,500. So I've never driven an E36 ever. I haven't driven one of it. I've driven an E30, not an E36. I've driven a couple of E46s. That looks like fun. Here we have its younger brother here. It's the 2005 320i Cabriolet. This one is metallic grey with black leather, 103,000 miles, £3,000 to £4,000 estimate. It looks good. This it's got good specification. 5-speed factory manual. I'm not massively keen on this colour combination. I would prefer like a dark blue or dark green with the beige leather interior, but it's nice. I think that's about right for one of these actually. Again, I think we saw this last month. 1964 Ford Falcon Sprint 260 convertible, estimate £7,000 to £10,000. Imported from Poland, UK registrations on it. Again, rather like that Bedford. Cosmetically, there are some things that need to be done, but I don't know whether necessarily you'd want to do them. You could just use it like this. Big old V8 engine. Apparently the gearbox is good as well. Yeah, it's not quite my sort of thing. I've seen quite a few of these recently, actually. Yeah, probably something to maybe tidy up during the winter. Our old friend, the 1986 Ford Escort van, which I think has a petrol engine in it. The biggest problem with this is it's estimated at £3,500 to £4,500. That still could possibly be a little bit too much money. It's going to need a lot of work, this, to deal with the rust. I mean, these Mark IV Escorts were notorious for rust back in the day, as everything was. Mark II Astras, you know, Renault 11s and things like that. Everything used to rust quite badly. Nissan Sunnies. So, you know, not unusual or anything like that, but I don't know why it's estimated so much higher than maybe a normal passenger car version would be. Classic look though. I mean, you know, these are interesting cars and vans, but I just kind of think the reason it's struggling to sell is perhaps it's just a little bit too high in the price. So a 1934 Humber Snipe has been in storage for many, many years. The electrics will need looking at, wiring will need to be done. Yeah. This car was used as a wedding vehicle until 2017. They have managed to get the engine running by bypassing the ignition, but yeah, the wiring, it looks like it's a total mess in here. Estimate on this is £67,000. Actually, let's have a look in the back whilst we're here. Wow. Oh, smell of that. Humbers were often used as kind of imperial state cars and things like that back in the day. And I can see why. It's a very luxurious feeling thing. Yeah, it's going to need tidying up, isn't it? Trafficators there. It's hard to sort of put a value on something like this because there's not many left, and I'm not really into 30s cars personally, but it's very beautiful, isn't it? Quite tightly packed in is this 1959 Jaguar Mark II 3.8. Early example, recessed sun visors, pendant throttle pedal, smooth painted centre dash, and a right-hand indicator switch. Unlike previous times we've been here, but the other Mark II that was here is not here. This one is still here though. Yeah, pendant throttle pedal, there it is. It looks very nice. I like this green interior. I mean, I prefer a beige one, but you know, this will do. And look at all that wood. Estimate on this is quite high. It's £20,000 to £30,000, but it was even more. It's not perfect cosmetically or anything. I don't think it claims to be. There's this sort of evidence of the paint, a bit of orange peel and things like that. You might be able to do something about it. I don't know. Yeah, what are these worth these days, these 3.8 Mark IIs? Because I'm not really sure. Oh, now viewers, something very special. A 1994 Jaguar XJ12 Sport Automatic. I don't think they actually made the XJ40 shape with the V12 engine until very near the end. I think it was 1993 when they got the V12. This is a 94. It's one of the very last of the XJ40s. And of course, it is dark green with a beige leather interior with wood and piping. A most tasteful vehicle indeed. Even got cruise control. I do like a nice beige leather interior, viewers. The only thing with this one, I have spoken to Mr. Coleman, who is an expert on Jaguar XJ40s. Suspension's been dropped a bit on this, and I don't think it's correct. Apart from that, it's very, very nice. The only thing is you'd have to watch the fuel gauge because I think it would like a bit of a drink. But we like these XJ40s very much, viewers, particularly ones with this colour combination. 1971 Gent Interceptor Mark III, this time for sale for between £23,000 and £28,000 for the auction guide price. I'm a bit sad that this is still here. I don't know why no one's bought this. Are classic car prices really that sort of depressed at the moment that people don't want to buy these sort of things anymore? Possibly, but it's a shame because this is a very, very beautiful car. Very fast, not very good on fuel, they never were, but absolutely lovely. So next, a 1955 Land Rover Series 1. I think again we've seen this before. Guide price is £13,000 to £16,000. It had an MOT in 2021, of course it's exempt, you don't technically need one. I'd obviously recommend you have one anyway. Let's have a look inside. Yeah, it all looks like it's there. I mean, there's evidence of sort of bits of wear and things. Burn bright construction, of course, through the body panels and things like that. All the kind of crazy gear levers and the speedo that you can't really see from the driver's seat, but that's the way it is. And of course, as a driver, you're sitting right with the fuel tank, I think, as well. So that's entertaining. 7-seat configuration. We've got 4 of the seats in the rear as well. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know much about these, to be honest, but looks like fun. That's how the door shuts, is it? That's interesting. Right. Good old Land Rover build quality. Similar sort of price as this 2007 Lotus Elise R Tour Plus. I believe by this time they were using the Toyota engine and not the Rover K series. So apparently 0 to 60 is about 6 seconds. It has a 1.8, I think, engine out of the Celica, but they're just gone out of production at this time. Estimate 16 to 20,000 pounds. It looks very, very nice. Mileage is just short of 90,000. Got those good old Vauxhall Cavalier Mark III indicator wiper stalks in here, and the mirrors from the Rover 100, of course. But it looks good. It doesn't matter about those bits because what a fantastic looking car. I'd love to drive an Elise at some point in my life. I don't know if I'll be able to do so, but you know, I can live in hope. Next you've got this 1998 Mercedes SL 500. This is the R129 shape. This actually is available for sensible second-hand reviews. Classics money, sorry, not reviews, but classics at this stage. It's 2009 or earlier. £4,500 to £6,500. Mercedes-Benz UK actually registered this themselves back in 1998. Current owners had it since 2012. It does look very nice. I mean, again, I prefer something like this to be more in the sort of colour scheme about BMW there. I prefer it to be sort of like a dark green or a dark blue with a beige leather interior. But some of you know, it's a sort of silver car from the 90s. It's very, very sort of Teutonic looking, but it's very nice. I'm just not sure I'd be able to cope with the fuel bills. Slightly cheaper is this second SL500, this time of 2003, so 5 years later, the next shape. 88,000 miles on the clock. I think I prefer the R129 to this personally, just from a design point of view. This has got the folding metal roof, and I'm not that fond of folding metal roofs. I mean, I owned a car that used to have one, an old Astra Twin Top I owned back in the sort of early years of the channel. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure this is sort of continental cruising at its finest, a car like this. Estimate is £4,000 to £5,000, so again, sensible second-hand classics money. So something that you might find familiar is this 2001 MGF. Yes, I actually borrowed this very car for a week back in July. The problems that I found with it were things like the stereo being a bit quiet, the suspension being a bit hard, and the dash rattling. Those have actually been addressed now. The suspension has sort of softened up a little bit. The dash binnacle that was rattling has been replaced, and the throttle response wasn't very sharp, and now that's also been addressed. So actually it's looking like it's in very nice condition. The car's been polished to within an inch of its life now, and it looks looking great. Estimate on this is only £1,000 to £2,000. I mean, I think it's probably worth, I'd say, £1,500 to £2,000 of anyone's money if it's a nice head gasket and cam belt have been done, of course. But yeah, there we go. 968 MGB GT, pale primrose is the name of this colour. I most often see this colour on MGCs for some reason, but of course they were made at this time as well. This one's estimated at £3,500 to £4,500. Paint probably could do with some attention at some point, but it doesn't really matter, does it? Got the good old LDV van interior door handles and things like that, because they lasted until the even 1990s in some cases. Someone's put a modern stereo, which is sensible. Yeah, it looks good. It's not a perfect car. I'm always amazed at how cheaply you can pick up an MGB that's sort of reasonable. I mean, that's ready to go to shows and things. It's not perfect or anything, but just because there's so many of them. Got an MOT. Mechanically, it's sorted, and I suppose just in need of a new owner. So, R50 Mini Cooper 2003. This one has a very nice panoramic sunroof. I think we've seen this before. It's only covered 47,000 miles. Estimate is £2,000 to £3,000. It's hard to value these at the moment. Some people say they're sort of going up, some people say they're sort of staying steady. I'm not sure which one this is, but yeah, they are fun to drive. Tritec engine in this, so it's chain driven. Excellent. So this is a 1963 Morris 1100. It's a very early one. I think the Morrises came out this year. 901 MPX is an old West Sussex plate. Apparently it's just got 22,000 miles on it, at least that's what it's showing. Some of the history's been misplaced on this, so the estimate is only £2,000 to £4,000. Is this really what they're worth? Compared to the Austin, it's actually got a completely different dashboard in it, which is strange. I've driven a 64 Austin 1100, and yeah, I mean, they actually drive amazingly, because they've not got servo-assisted brakes, and they haven't got cigarette on first. They surprisingly drive not very fast. They've only got 48 horsepower, but yeah, I quite like this actually. The paint's not perfect or anything, but it's not bad. It's probably older restoration, I would say. This, yeah, that looks remarkably good value to me. £2,000 to £4,000. Goodness gracious me. A 1966 Reliant Scimitar SE4 GT. I know these cars from an episode of The Avengers that was made in 1967 called You've Just Been Murdered, in which case Reliant provided one of these for the episode. It was driven by an actor called Barry Ingham. Same year as one used in The Avengers, a 66. This apparently was in a gentleman's shed along with 5 other cars. It's actually been recommissioned. It's estimated to be worth £6,000 to £7,500. Glass fiber's kind of sort of crazing a bit and things like that, as you can see. Actually, camera's picking it up quite well. It's got the I think this is a Ford Essex. So sorry, it's not a V6. It's actually before that. It's a straight 6 engine. I forget who provided this now, but it's not the Essex V6 of the later cars. So that's rare. It looks okay. I mean, the fiberglass is sort of crazing and things like that, and there's imperfections, but it depends how far you want to go with something like this. Interior looks actually really quite good. Oh, it smells good as well in here. Yeah. Usual sort of collection of 60s switches scattered all over the place. I quite like that, viewers. Interesting. Next, this 1992 Saab 900 Turbo 16 convertible. I don't know what this is still doing here, viewers. I mean, got a half tempted to have a go myself, but at the moment my lady wife let him have any more cars because my Nissan Sunny is still not on the road. So there we go. It's yeah, estimate £5,500 to £7,500. Wooden steering wheel with turbo boost gauge in that sort of classic Saab colour combination of, it's like a grey with the three-spoke alloys. That's actually a Turbo S. I forgot about that. Yeah, I don't find necessarily these the most comfortable to drive, because the right-hand drive cars like this one with a manual gearbox have quite an offset driving position. Nevertheless, it might not be a big concern. Other than that, they're brilliant, these. And the 1935 Standard 12. I think again we saw this last time. Estimate £5,500 to £6,500. Take a look inside, shall we? It doesn't seem to be running perfectly from what I understand, but it might just need some new fuel or some adjustment or something. Older restoration, this one. But looks good actually. It's very presentable. Again, with these 30s cars, it's kind of hard to value them sometimes because the market can be a little bit limited for them. But that looks like a decent car to me if you're into that kind of thing. So, a Triumph Spitfire Mark IV, 1932. This is the 1296cc engine in this. The later ones were a 1.5. You can see we've got some rust going on here. That's already been addressed once and it's happening again. So I just sort of have a good feel around those arches if I were buying this. Mind you, we don't want a lot of money for this. They only want £3,000 to £4,000, which is the guide price for it. It's got the overdrive gearbox. I do wonder if I can actually fit in something like this. It's probably a bit easier than a midget. Midgets are ridiculous, actually. That looks a little bit easier, like you don't put the roof on. But yeah, at some point in my life, I'd like to try one of these. I've tried a Herald, I've tried various other sort of Triumphs from the 60s and 70s, but I've never tried a Spitfire or a GT6. And it looks like a lot of fun. Mind you, viewers, I prefer this Cavalier. 37 Cavalier, 1.8 Cabriolet. Now this is actually a first facelift car. The second facelift occurred later in 1987. These are quite rare. They only ever made these for a couple of years, these cabriolets. I think only really with the first and second facelifts. Sort of windy windows in here as well. I think there's one specification for these only. Estimate is £1,800 to £2,500, which is crazy. I mean, even for like a normal Mark II Cavalier, that is not particularly high. But yeah, this one looks okay. Less than 51,000 miles. Again, it's quite tempting for me to buy this, but my lady wife's not going to let me, is she? So hopefully one of you will want it. Look at this view. It's a 1971 Vauxhall Victor HC. This reminds me of a one, but it's a Great British Car Journey, but I have driven, which is a 72. Very basic like that one. Do we even have a stereo in here? Let's take a look. Very, very nice condition, this car. Very, very nice indeed. No, it's a basic HC like the one that I drove. We don't really have anything in here. What we do have is just beautiful condition car. 1256 cc engine, I think. Actually, maybe it's one of the last of the. It was like 1159 cc. It could be one of those actually. The very early HCs have that engine, so it could be one of those. But yeah, estimate is quite high for one of those, £5,500–6,500, but it's virtually immaculate. There are some blemishes on this. It's not perfect, but it's really good. They're not necessarily easy to drive, but at this point, these didn't have a brake servo, so you've got to bear that in mind. But still, amazing looking car. Right, viewers, that is it. We'll be back next month as usual. Thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment below, and we shall see you again very shortly for some more incorrect information.